Okay. I was hoping you guys could walk us through the timeline on this decision. The storyline out there is that Mac Jones was the guy that you liked about a month ago when you made that trade, but that Trey Lance has made a sort of a furious comeback in the last couple of weeks. Is that accurate?
No, it's not. We can go back to January for the timeline, um, which we don't have enough time to go all the way through. But this is something that started since our season ended and our evaluation of people, and starting with where we thought people were going to be available, going to people who we thought could be on the trade market, to everything. Um, we've been very high on Trey since the beginning, since day one. And yes, the person everyone else is speculating about, we liked him too. But it was just, honestly, to go through this whole process where, no one has known, my friends, coaches, anybody, how John and I feel and how we felt this whole time. And we do that because you don't want to sway people in this building. You want everyone to just work their butts off and give you their honest info. And that's why we don't share at all how we felt about our conversations when we were on vacation, talking in the first 2 weeks of January about these quarterbacks and comparing them to NFL guys. And when we made the trade, we knew exactly where we were going, what we were doing. Now we want an opportunity to go and look at everybody. But, I think just looking at this whole process, I think I was in Mexico the day we made the trade. And, within hours, there's at least two people who are out there speculating that their opinions are they think we're taking Mac Jones. And ever since then, I've kind of just watched every single person assume that was accurate and that those weren't opinions, those were facts. And we didn't feel that way from the beginning. I wouldn't have said there was no chance we wouldn't have. We were going to go through this process, and I would never have said it couldn't have ended up being him. But I know how we felt about Trey the whole time. And to watch that happen and to kind of watch everyone just assume, because a couple people say something, that's exactly how you feel. We weren't going to work to correct that at all. I thought that could be an advantage for us, especially when you look into stuff that just came out today, stuff that, you never know with this league. And if the whole NFL is assuming you're doing one thing and you're not doing that, I'm not going to work hard, and John, we're not going to work hard to correct that. So let that be. And whatever way that went, it was going to go, and it was crazy to watch where it all went. But no one has known anything but us. So it's been fun to watch it. I haven't been in many situations in my career like that. And when you get an opportunity to go through something like that, it is really cool to find out about people in your building, how they handle it. It's really cool to kind of watch people in the media too a little bit and just see who gives opinions, who gives some sources that you watch it and it's you're like, all right, I know that's not true. So where's that? And you get to see people for 2 months and how things are. And I haven't been in many situations like that. And it was kind of neat to see. You learn a lot about your organization. You learn a lot about other people. And, but you try to lower your head and you try to do what's right and not be affected by any of that. And it's just been interesting to watch, and sure glad that it's over. I'm glad that we got our guy. I'm glad we feel so good about it. And I'm just pumped to get him here.
I think the only thing I'll add to that, because that's a really good timeline, and I think a pretty comprehensive outlook at kind of where we've been. But I think the blessing of it all, and that was that we got to tell Trey Lance, and Trey Lance didn't know before that, and we got to make a young man's dreams and a family's dreams, and I think we got to know a person that impressed us as much on the field and as he did off the field, and he was outstanding in both ways. And that goes for a lot of these guys, but with Trey, that was a special moment to be able to talk to him, because I think it was true surprise. And he had a hunch, I believe, and I'm interested to hear from him. But that was the first time he heard it when we were able to call him. So that was a pretty special moment.
Okay, so some of the crazy stuff that went on today also was that there was talks of you guys possibly trading for a veteran quarterback that belongs to another team. So were there any talks yesterday or consideration about pursuing a trade for such a player?
I'll answer that, Cam. And you're talking about the MVP of our league last year, and I don't know about you guys, but to me, when the MVP of the league might be available, and I didn't know that, I'm just reading the tea leaves just like everybody else and saying, hold on, is something going on here? Yeah, we inquired, and it was a quick into the conversation. It wasn't happening, and as we've said, we've been convicted and excited for a long, long time. So we went right back to where we've been, and that's really excited about adding Trey Lance to the 49ers, and we're thrilled about that.
This is for Kyle. Since, John, you said that you were going to defer to Kyle for this decision, take us through Trey Lance. What is it about him that attracted you, that was attractive to you?
I mean, I could talk about that for a while because it goes into so many different areas, but it always starts with me with the film. I try to watch a guy play the quarterback position, how he executes his own offense, just kind of the natural feeling he has for the quarterback position, which that part entails getting the ball to the right spots. You try to figure out what plays they're doing and does the ball go to where it should go to. When nothing is there, how quick are they to recognize and make it off schedule or to get rid of it, just not take a sack and don't make it worse. And you start to watch some of that stuff with him, and I loved his natural ability to play the position, which was very impressive. And then when you add on a type of running element, which I've always been intrigued with, but when you got a guy who's got the skill sets as far as speed and size, to where you're not going to make him a runner, but if you can get in certain formations where the defense knows you will run them if they don't honor them. Now everything's different, and if you can ever get a guy like that and make 11-on-11 football, then I think you got a guy who can change some things for you. But it always comes down to, you can dabble in that, but you better be confident they can do everything else. And he's played a year of football. It's at a smaller school, so that does take. It takes work. It's stuff. I mean, you're not going to see it all. So that's why it is a hard process, and that's why there is no guarantees for any of us. So it's about believing. And you see what they ask someone to do, and you see it very consistent and done at a high level. And then you look at the skill set, all the high weight and speed, and that stuff that to me comes last. And then you try to get to know the person. And that's what was really cool about where we got, that I didn't have to be sneaky with trying to know someone, where he could know I was trying to get to know him. I could say a lot of stuff to him. I could be very upfront with him. And I got to know him. And he's a guy that I think is a very good person, comes from a very good family. I think he's very impressive in terms of his intellect, how he deals with people, how he just handles a social situation. And I looked at him as a CEO of a company. If I ever knew anything about that stuff. But you put that to the side, and it's a hell of a quarterback, and this is someone that I believe in and I want to go to work with.
Kyle, obviously he hasn't played a lot and not a lot recently. Can you see him being a starter this season? Is it a competition with Jimmy? And what's Garoppolo's status as you go into, say, training camp this season?
First of all, I'm glad you asked about Jimmy. I totally bombed that on Monday. I hated how that came off. I talked to Jimmy about it right away. I didn't realize it when I did it. Person I have a relationship with who sometimes when he asks me what I think is a silly question, sometimes I mess with him back, and that's kind of what I was doing. And that was between me and that guy. It had nothing to do with Jimmy when I said I didn't know if we'd be alive on Sunday. I was just trying not to give my typical answer of, guys, anybody can be traded. If you get a bunch of ones, John should trade me and I shouldn't be here on Sunday. That's the answer for every person on our team. But Jimmy's situation is, if he isn't here on Sunday, I would be disappointed because Jimmy is a quarterback who's played 1 year and took us to a Super Bowl and played at a very high level. He's had some fortunate injuries, but I believe in Jimmy as a person, and he's shown what he can do on tape. Now, we made this move, so it's obvious what I hope and what I believe in with this guy coming in. But it would be a very tough situation if Jimmy's not on our team. I think I want Jimmy to be here. And I want this kid to be brought along. I want to see how he does. And if it turns into a competition, it turns into a competition. I'd be excited about that if he showed he was ready for it and stuff. But we know where Jimmy's at. He hasn't played football in a year. He hasn't been to an OTA. I'd love to get him out here. It would be very hard for me to picture a situation Jimmy's not here on Sunday. Because that would be, I think, very stressful for us because Jimmy's a very good player, and I think we can win with him. So we'll play that by ear, but I expect Jimmy to be here, and I'd be surprised if he wasn't.
Hey, Kyle, one of the things that jumped out with Trey that I'm just curious how much it factored into your evaluation. He's the one guy out of this group that was under center, did play action a lot, turned his back to the defense. How much does that maybe factor into what you're looking at, just in terms of being able to project what they could become?
I think that just for everybody who tries to guess what we're guessing, that stuff just makes our job easier. But it's not like, oh, this guy plays in your scheme, or you can see something that, all right, that's why I'm taking the person. That helps people. It helps you visualize something better and helps you can anticipate how to be at the next level. So it makes your job easier, but that's about it. I like that he had a bunch of stuff under center. It was good to see him do some play actions and stuff, but by no means is that what made it. That's why you got to look into so many different things, and that's what was harder about not having 2020. It was harder not being able to personally work out a guy, things like that, but that's also why I think for us to get where we got with all these guys and to be as aggressive as we were, I think it had to be at this spot because we couldn't have done as thorough of a job as we did. And, I mean, everything is an educated guess, and I feel very confident with our process, with my own life experiences and what I've been through, with the help of John, our staff, everyone in here. I feel very pumped who we got, and I feel very confident who we got, and we'll see how he does now. The more you can see on tape in college, the easier that makes us for us. But this guy made us feel very confident.
I have two questions, if I may. The first one, people talk about Trey Lance's accuracy as an area to improve. Do you view that trait or that ability as something that you can coach up in terms of fundamentals or whatever? And also, how involved was Mike Shanahan in the evaluation process?
I think you can help people with accuracy. I think accuracy is going to come down to the person. I always try to help you with accuracy by getting their feet in the right spots and doing things like that. I'm never going to sit there and demonstrate or try to pretend to tell him exactly how he needs to throw it. I try to get his feet in the right spot, his eyes in the right spot, because I think if you're in a balanced position and you're in the club as an NFL thrower, you will be. If things get off and your feet aren't under you, your accuracy is going to follow. So you always hear it from me. But if someone struggles with that, you got to count on the person to put the work in the offseason. Where do they go to some of these guys? They work on it January to April, and then they get back with us, and it's about tying your arm into your feet and into a rhythm of an offense. The second question about my dad, it's hilarious. Not hilarious, but the speculation of my dad is crazy. I have a dad who I love more than anything, who is who loves football too. Every building I've been in, going back to Tampa Bay, Jim Gruden used to come in with us all the time. Dads love to be around football, and my dad does probably more than most, and he really enjoys watching it. So every year, going on the 5th year in a row, my dad's come out in April for 3 weeks, mainly to let my mom get a break from him, spend some time with the grandkids, and to come watch what we're all watching, because we just sit in a room, 30 of us, and watch college players all day. And it's something that's I feel very fortunate that I have with my dad. I think a lot of people want to have with their dad. Some people go golfing together. It's really cool that my dad can come and watch football with us. But to think that he's part of this evaluation and stuff is it's the same as I kind of feel about everything else. I'm not mad at anyone for it, but when people make speculations and we don't come out and say exactly whether it's right or wrong, then I get how it takes on legs and goes all these directions. But hopefully people believe what I'm saying now.
Let me help Kyle out there, Chris, too, a little. Year one, in April, Mike started, being out here, and I think there was one day where I said, "Hey, Kyle, can I ask you something? Because I understand, we're new here, but your dad's resume speaks for itself. He was my coach as well for 4 years. I'd like to have him in the draft room, and Kyle wasn't too keen on that, but I said, believe me, man, this is a guy who's won 2 Super Bowls. He's learned more football than, I think most people that have ever been around. And so he's up there. He rarely says anything. Usually I have to ask the question, or now we're all comfortable to where, other people will ask of it. And I think it's invaluable. He doesn't speak much, but he's a very valuable resource. And I think, like Kyle said, it's a special deal that he gets to experience. He happens to be very knowledgeable, and we try to use that as an asset for our organization.
Hey, guys, I'm feeling pressure. I want to ask a question that's going to make Kyle respond and then have to apologize to a player. But I'm going to choke, I think. Anyway, I think you basically answered this, but when you moved up to number 3, I think you all said that, you had 3 players you had identified as being worthy of that pick. Just to be clear, that was Trevor Lawrence and Zach Wilson and Trey Lance. Is that right?
What guys you say?
He said Lawrence, Wilson, and Lance. Eric, I think, everybody's been operating under the assumption too. I think for a while, the understanding in the league, it was probably going to be Lawrence to Jacksonville, Zach Wilson to the Jets. Now, obviously, we do our due diligence. I think what we've been talking about is the other 3 that presented themselves. And we saw them as very talented prospects. I mean, this is a very good quarterback class. Who knows what it will become? But those are the 3 I think we've been referencing more than anything. We never make assumptions. We do our due diligence on each of them. We did on Trevor Lawrence. We did on Zach Wilson. But we felt pretty secure with relationships, with intel, and just kind of it was pretty obvious that's where they were going. And it was the other 3, that we had in contention when we made that move.
Yeah, there's been so much speculation on all this. That's why I'm hoping we're clearing some stuff up for people, but we assumed the guys were going 1 and 2, and we were hoping there was gonna be 3 we're gonna like, and just clearing all that up at the time, going just off tape, not talking to anyone. I personally, there was 2 that I thought, oh, for sure, like just off the tape, but we can go through a lot of this stuff and see more. It's not ending. This is conversations that we feel in January. I don't know exactly when the trade happened, but just off of the tape and not doing anything, there was 2 guys I thought we could get that weren't going on 1 and 2, that we would have taken anywhere from 3 all the way to 12. Then we moved up to 3, and going through the process, then I personally thought there was 3 guys that we would take. We definitely have it in order and which ones we'd want first and stuff like that, and that's what we spent our time doing. And that was pretty cool to get there and realize, man, all these guys we like. Doesn't mean anyone's a slam dunk. It doesn't guarantee anything. But we did know that we wanted to get a quarterback. And the only way we could guarantee it, we thought, back in January, trying to think of where these guys were going to go after 2, we could come up with a spot all the way from 3 all the way to 11. And we're like, man, we might not get anyone. And at the time, the thoughts that we had, we didn't think that was an option. And I like what we did. When you get there, and then you end up feeling stronger about the 2 guys that you already felt good about, and that 3rd guy ends up being a candidate too. I felt good through the whole process, and it got stronger as we looked more into it.
Couple more, please.
This is for both of you. It sounded like, or Jed was kind of tweeting things that he didn't know who the pick was. Is this, you said it was a unique situation. Did he really not know who the pick was? And is this the first time you've been on a team or around a team where the owner actually didn't know who the pick was going to be?
We were in the bunker. Apparently, there's been some entertaining stuff going on, and I'm not. Hey, he writes the check, so I tweet away. Yes, Jed knew. We shared with him this. Like Kyle and I said, we've known for a couple weeks, and we've had a good feeling for a while, but we wanted to let the process, and we committed to each other to let the process run its course. And, so officially this Monday, Kyle and I, kind of tied it, put a bow on it, and said, this is where we're going. And, we did that, and I believe it was Wednesday when we told Jed.
I think so. We need to get Jed.
Yeah.
Jed can answer these questions.
He'll tweet it out here. But we let him know on Wednesday, and that was the extent of it. And Doc York came into town last night. We got to tell him today, and the rest, everybody else was kind of, they learned when you learned, when Trey learned, and that to us is pretty cool. Let me make no mistake, that is, some people equate that with a lack of confidence and ability. That had nothing to do with it. We felt like we were in a unique situation to, number one, look out for the best interest, because you never know what's going to happen. You know, who knows? The MVP of the league might become available, you know? And, you know, it's, we felt like that was our duty, and, you know, we were able to keep it that way, and that's pretty cool, because, again, I told you about what a special deal that was for the player. And I think he'll forever remember that. And I like surprises, and so I thought it was great that we were able to keep it in-house.
Hey guys, I know you like Trey Lance's film. There's not a lot of it. So how much did he grow on you the past few months as you got to know him and his makeup?
I mean, also the film not having a lot of it. I mean, he has the same amount of film as Mac. He had the same amount as Joe Burrow from the year before. I mean, it's still the same as a lot of guys. So, and the film was very good. Unfortunately, to get a 2020 year. So that's what was tough. I mean, at first you think that and you're like, man, this is tough. Why can't I see the second year? But we had a lot of time to watch 2019, and there are a lot of clips. And when you collect all the pluses and minuses, and that's usually how I watch film. And by the time you've gone through it for 4 months, and you have 400 clips of just pluses and minuses, and you do that for everyone. And I had a lot more pluses for Trey, like I just did. But I start to think too, because you hear that. I mean, he didn't play this year. There's not much film, and then when I go back through my notes and I just sort on our computer and I just watch all his good plays, I mean, there's 160 of them, and so like that was a lot of good tape for me. And you always want more. You'd always rather have had a 2020 year, but like I said earlier, maybe that's a blessing. Maybe he got a 2020 year. He wouldn't have been available at 3. So we'll find out.
Yeah, and I think you talk about the person, Grant. We got to Zoom with them, I believe, on 2 occasions. And then we went to the pro day. And the pro day, we're watching him throw. There is some interaction after it's over, but we were good. And, by that point, we did feel like it's pretty cool that you can. Obviously, face-to-face is better, but in this world, you better adjust. You better be able to improvise, and we did just like every other team. And we got a good feel for who Trey is. I think one of the cool things for us at the pro day, walking out, we made a point to say hello to his parents, and that was really cool, because when you have a special young man like this, someone, the good Lord had a good hand in that, but there's 2 parents that were very responsible for how this guy carries himself, and it is very impressive. And we got a chance to meet his dad, Carlton. That it turns out Kyle was a ball boy here in '92. He was in Niners camp in '92. So we got to share some stories about that. I believe his mom's name's Angela, and his younger brother was there. So it was really fun to get to say hello. Literally 2-3 minutes, but fun to get to meet the people. And we were blown away by the person, the aptitude, and the way he carries himself.
Last one.
Kyle, you said that Trey was like the CEO of a company, and John just talked about his aptitude and the way he carries himself. Can you talk a little bit more on that and elaborate? And is that the kind of intangible you just can't teach?
Yes, I think that. I mean, if I didn't like the film, that would have been a negative for me. I would have been like, you got to hire this guy to be a CEO somewhere. This isn't a quarterback of a team. When you watch the film and he's you see such a true quarterback in every aspect of how he plays, and then you meet him, you're like, man, this guy doesn't have to be a quarterback. He could go be a CEO of some company. And then it's a huge compliment, and it's a very impressive thing to watch. His skill set he has, just how intelligent he is, how he handles himself. And then to know how he relates to all his teammates. I mean, just going up there and watching how his teammates kind of talk about him, how they gravitate around him, watching some of them interviewed on TV. You can tell he's going to impress a football team, and he'd also impress a company. He's going to be impressive in whatever he's in.
All right, thank you guys.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys.